Well, good morning. This is another day here in the Twisted Knot Woodshop. Today is December 17th, 2015, and the current project in here is to build a table from a live edge slab of wood. This is maple. It's spalted. It's got all kinds of color in it from having been, I would say, laying down on the ground for a while, and it's got some discoloration in it. Currently this thing is about 10 foot long, and the plan here is to turn this into a table for my client who wants to give it to his client that he has built a house for as a gift or as an extra thing in appreciation for having built their house. And he had some logs that were being stored for future use. And his idea was for me to take these fellows and turn them into table legs and stretchers, and not so much making it crude looking, but kind of having a Western type of a look, but also presenting the peculiarities and uniqueness of nature's wood and their exhibits of being weird. The burls down there, that one was about 14 inches in diameter, and that would not fit in a bandsaw, so we had to cut it with a hand saw, and let me tell you, that was kind of tiring. The other end of it is sitting here on the router table, and Jeff and I thought it would be a good idea to turn that into an end table. So having that slab being almost 10 foot, which is way too long for a table, we thought we'd take and cut 2 feet off of this end here and use that for the end table top. And these legs, as you see standing here, this one is was able to cut on the bandsaw, but like I said, that one over there was not. Right now the the plan is to leave that leg there as long as it is and cut a hole in this end of the board slab right about there, so that that upper end sticks up through the slab, and a person could take and hang a bracket on there to put a lantern on, or even an electric fixture of some form. And this one over here would be a leg that would be underneath on this end of the table, with a bracket that we're going to make to fasten it to the table. That line, that chalk line you see at the top, is where it functionally will get cut to be the right height. This is going to end up being a bar type height table, which is 42 inches typically. And that one you see on the ground there would be the stretcher that goes between the two legs at the bottom. And so our process today is going to be cutting this slab down, figuring out how to accurately cut the hole for this post sticking up, and then fastening that one with the special bracket that we've got to make to the bottom end of the slab there. And we got some checks in the end of it, so I'm thinking that we might have to cut that off as well. So we'll deal with that as we move along. But there it is, and I'll show you as the process continues, where we get to, and how much better it starts to look. Currently we're thinking of just taking and sandblasting these logs here, because they're way different. Although the dark color does look nice, I'm just kind of, Jeff and I are thinking about it, figuring out what to do. So stick along, and we'll show you the progress as this thing unfolds. Okay, yesterday we finished out getting the preliminary cuts on this slab. Remember, the slab was about 10 foot long. We got it cut to approximately 8 foot long. And what we did was cut the ends with a, not a straight cut, just to give it some character, I suppose. This is kind of formed a little bit. It's not nowhere near done. I just got the edges eased over, and then the little edges and such have been, kind of touched up a little bit, rounded over, eased, if you want to call it that way. And we've got it set up where that slab on those white blocks you see would be the height of the table. That bench is 34 and a half high, and so that slab is 42, and then that there would be the post that sticks up through a hole at that end in the center of the table, and that one will get cut off so that it's flush with the bottom of the table slab. And there's going to be a metal bracket with a plate with a section of pipe cut off that's welded to the plate, and then that post would go inside that metal pipe cut off to give it some rigidity and the way to mount it to the bottom of the table. And so today we're going to cut the hole for that post there. We haven't decided whether depending on how we orient that post. Right now you see it's leaning quite a bit to the right. We can turn it so that it's more straight, and I think that's what we're going to end up doing. We haven't decided yet, so Jeff will be here in a bit and we'll pick it up and see where we go. We're still going to use that member down there for the stretcher between the bottom sections of these two posts, and then the cutoff that came off of this end, the one that you see there, also that one has not been eased. That's still square. I just cut it with a jigsaw. I've got a long blade in the jigsaw there, and I was able to cut off enough of a section to create the end table that will go on this, cut that part that came off of that long post. And I think that's going to make a nice little end table for the guy. Although he did not ask for it, we're going to give it to him as part of the thing, because I wouldn't feel right, keeping that and this and selling it or whatever, because it's technically not mine. Okay, well, we'll pick this up as we got more to show. Okay, well, Jeff got here about an hour ago. That's him sitting over there, or standing, walking around. I showed you earlier where the slab was sitting on top of the tabletop here, or the bench top, representative of the height. And I've been busy easing the edges with a really coarse piece of sandpaper on the sander there, going around and making it so that it's not square edges. And currently I'm digging the loose stuff out of this cavity here that's going to end up being filled with epoxy. I'm pretty much done with the grinding of the top. I've just got some hand sanding to do to make it a little bit smoother. But Jeff over here, remember I'm telling you that long post was going to come through this end of the table in a hole somewhere around there. Well, Jeff was over here making a template, a jig, if you want to call it that he scribed around the post here, so that when those two halves get placed on the tabletop surface there, you could just mark it out, follow that line. That would be provided, and the post should, since it's narrower up there, it should slide down easily and made up with the tabletop over there. And I think you can say that he did a remarkable job on doing that. So all we have to, for what?
For a first time.
Yeah, for the very first time he has ever done this. Yep. Yeah, carpenters never scribe anything. We only do it one time and that's it. Okay, well, we'll show you more as we get along. Take care.
No, she's had her whole life.
Yeah, I know.
But
Okay.
she went, remember I told you she went and got a pancreas? Got a kidney and a pancreas?
No. Okay, we're back, and Jeff here has just got done cutting this deep, dark, depressing hole for that post to stick through. We had to change the plan. We were going to put it on this end, and between the two of us, we decided that with the hole centered sort of in there, it would be too close to this little cavity. So the other post is going to go underneath of the top, and then we'll have some kind of a plate and a ring cut off a piece of pipe that will go on the around that pipe or the post there, so that it will clamp to the bottom of the tabletop. So anyway, he just got done cutting the hole, and he's rasping it over here, and I was gouging out the cavity with these dental tools. Those are some of the ones we have here, and to take out all the loose stuff to prepare filling it with the epoxy. So there's one there, and then one here. It's kind of hard to see.
Show him Jeff trying to make his brain last with you yammering.
Oh, and okay, well there you go. We'll pick it up and show you more when we got action happening. All right, what we got is the jig that you've seen previously wrapped around the post. We got it pinned together, and to bring it down on the post here to find out where it fits and allows it to slide by, which is what the top, pretend this is the tabletop, and there's a couple of knots sticking out, and in order for this jig to slide down and what would be the same thing as a countertop, we're cutting off these knots with a chisel and a wooden mallet, and without damaging the coloration of the post such as it is, and we're just going to continue doing that until we're down to the bottom, and we'll pick this up in a bit. All right, this is a little further along today. This is Saturday. As I showed you earlier, Jeff was doing some stuff on the post. Sorry, we got this thing moving all around the place. I got to remember where in the world it's at. We've got the tabletop down onto the post that would be sticking up, obviously. And we're currently orienting the stretcher between the stretcher there and between the long leg and what will ultimately be the short leg. And we've got points marked on the positions there where that stretcher will go. And we just got done drilling that hole for the stretcher, and the stretcher over here obviously is a tree, and so we've got to take and cut the perimeter diameter. That's the same size as the hole. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to cut it other than take a handsaw and rip around the perimeter and then prune it off with a chisel so that it'll fit in the hole. So that's what we're going to do next, and then this other end obviously is going to be larger in diameter. so we'll have to monkey with that. But there we are, and you can see the table upside down or leaning sideways, what it looks like. By the time this thing's standing up, it'll look nice. All right, see you in a bit. All right, here's the process of turning the end of the log into a tenon. Remember I mentioned earlier where you cut around it with the handsaw to the depth, and then if this was straight grain, in other words, no knots, it would just chisel right off, but because of those burls and everything hanging off, it makes it difficult, so we got to chisel it out by hand, and that's what we're doing now. Come over here and look at the top end, as I showed you in an earlier video, where the jig that we were using to that was scribed to the perimeter, outside perimeter of the log, and then we transferred it to the tabletop and cut that hole out with the jigsaw, and now you can see how nice and tight that tree is, or that stump is to the tabletop. And with the surface, it's kind of a big old dip right here, and that carries on up here. We had to shave it just a bit because of these knots that were hanging out. That just ended up being in the way of the jig, but that is nice and tight, and it's exactly 42 inches from here to the what would be the floor. And as soon as we get that stretcher done, then we'll determine where that other hole needs to be exactly, and that the short leg, and then we'll move on.